Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley. And I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friend Preston Poulter, who right now has a comic up on Kickstarter, Palace of the Golden Princess, which is an awesome book. It's definitely female empowerment is at the forefront of that book. It's got a Dungeons and Dragons type feel to it. It's based off of a Dungeons and Dragons game, certain elements of it, and it's awesome. And a bunch of covers I've already sold out on that campaign, and he's added some stuff in there to kind of throw out there, and so you can get some of them still at a little bit of a higher price. So it's an awesome thing. I do not think you will be disappointed, and there is an awesome artist on there called Whiskey Paint, and those covers are just unreal. So that's something that's cool out there, as well as my friend Preston does have a Whatnot Pocket Jack Comics, so check that out. He's a good sponsor of the show. But enough about that, because I have with me voice actress and actress Beth Pierce. So welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. I'm excited too because you're brand new to voice acting. I think
Yes.
you're a little bit younger than me. I don't know, you're a little bit younger. It's a lot younger than me. I'm not that old. I'm only 31, guys. I'm only 31.
Yeah,
So I'm still in touch with the younger generation.
just
Um,
a tad younger, only a tad.
just a little bit.
Tad.
But obviously you've done stuff, I think, in voice acting, theater, I think some live action stuff you've been involved in.
Yeah.
But why don't you kind of tell everybody who you are a little bit? Because there's people who know who you are, there's people who are gonna want to know who you are, and then there's people saying, who is Beth Pierce?
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Beth Pierce. I'm a voice actress and I do on camera work and theater work as well. I am 19 years old, so I'm a little young. Um, when I was 16, I started voiceover and I was in a worldwide competition online, and I was the youngest semifinalist on there. And then I got on it again the next year. And ever since I've been, voice acting in a lot of like indie things, and I'm in college right now. So learning all those, adult things. And I'm new to the game, but I'm excited.
So yeah, so let's actually talk a little bit about that, because I want to table the voice acting stuff for 1 second, because obviously I think you have a theater background. I
Yes,
think you're doing
yes.
a lot of that first and foremost, and I've obviously had a lot of voice actors on, and some of them have done theater, and one of my favorite people that I had on was Barry Yandel, and Barry Yandel was doing a lot of theater work, and we were talking about that idea where you need to know how to act. Same thing with John Swayze. You need to know how to act. And I feel like voice acting is more just the technical component of that, because you need to know how a character is supposed to sound, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into theater though? Because that's what's interesting, I think.
Yeah. So thank you for asking that, because I do think that theater for me is the reason I'm an actor and the reason why I do any of the other stuff that I do now. But I started theater when I was really young. Around like when I was like 4 or 5, I wasn't in theater yet, but I was like singing and like playing dress up around my house and like making little videos on like a camcorder. And I was super super like expressive, but I was a really shy kid, surprisingly, just expressive at home. So I auditioned for a play or a musical at my elementary school, and I was like the only little 9-year-old who got a part that was like an actual part, and it was Beauty and the Beast, and I was the little teacup chip. So, but yeah, I started there, and then I after that we had one performance only, and after that performance, I went home and I cried to my parents, and they were like, why are you crying? And I was like, I just want to do this forever and ever, and I don't want to stop. And then ever since I did one show, I was like, I'm going to be an actor. So I started doing, local theater where I grew up, and just continued to do it. And yeah, so
So let's actually talk about that too a little bit, because what is that like? It's obviously I think every kid has been in some type of play.
Yeah.
I was in a few and it didn't stick.
Mhm.
That's actually not true. That's actually not true. You know, I've been in more than a few and I enjoyed it. But not this is terrible. Again, I didn't want to pursue it as a career or as an entity. I just wanted to, you know, do it, have a good time with it, and then move on. But what was this like to be like, I want to do this and then actually kind of get the skills and evolve and grow from it?
Yeah.
Because that's the interesting component.
Yeah. So for me, I really like I was like, "I know I wanna do this and blah, 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 blah." And so I never really fully got trained, like, professionally. I just did, like, youth theater productions, musicals, and things, and I would just grow off of the skills I learned in each one of those. But as I got older, I would say around in, like, middle school-ish, I did, like, a community theater that was pretty, they won, like, state awards for shows and things, and one of the directors there was like, "Oh, you might be good." So he, like, put me in shows and whatever, and I started learning, "Oh, I can actually, do this and perform," but it's not just like, "Oh, you're doing something fun and silly and singing or dancing." It's, something deeper than that, and I think I've always kind of had that, like, just depth knowledge of, like, characters since I was little. I would watch, like, you know, anime and, like, stuff like Pokemon and, cartoons, and I would just be like, "Oh, that's why the character's like this and da 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 da." And so I think it's something that I always personally, like, I just knew in my heart, like, "Okay, I know how to do this." And I started doing, I started doing professional, like, classes and when I was in, like, high school, and through that, I started learning, like, "Oh, this can actually be a thing I do," and instead of just, like, a silly thing, because a lot of people think, acting's just whatever, like, people do it, and they just they're like, "Oh, I did this show and whatever," but
Let's talk about that for a
yeah,
second too, because people think that I just do my show as a podcast. No, no, no. There's a lot that goes into it. You
yeah,
know, obviously there's research, there's editing on the back end, there's promotion on the back end. There's also even just figuring out, do I put you, where do I put you if I got six people? Do I put you before person A or behind person A? And how is that gonna work? And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Um, but even that, or even saying, cool, is your interview time sensitive in promotion?
mhm,
And so like there's a lot of that in there. And then people say, oh, it's just for fun, so I won't show up. That
yeah,
happens a lot more than people realize. And I'm like, this is actually like a gig for me.
yeah,
And that,
yeah,
finding sponsorships. And so I think that's a real complicated issue where, I did a play in college
mhm,
and I got a credit for it, which is cool. So it was a fourth credit option. I had a great time with it. It was obviously politically science motivated. It was Gilbert and Sullivan. Some cool stuff. So obviously, academic political science major doing a academic political science, play related to that and law
mhm,
and fun. I had a great time, but it was a lot of fun. But that to me was more of a hobby and extracurricular versus when somebody wants to go and say, I want to be an actor or I
mm.
want to be in a play or I want to do something that's actually professional. So what is that like to kind of have that professional mindset? Because I think it's a lost
Yeah,
idea sometimes.
I actually, because I have, a TikTok and people follow me for some reason, and a lot of people comment like, "Oh, I wanna be a voice actor and da 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 da," and,
We're gonna talk about that too. I promise. We
yeah,
continue.
and I I always have to say that, voice acting is acting, and that it is a serious thing, and I know it, like, is, like, silly voices and da 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 sometimes, but I think there's a business behind acting that a lot of people don't talk about. There's like you have to market yourself, you have to make a website, you have to network with people, you have to take classes, and you have to do all this stuff, buy equipment, make sure that, your headshots look good and get a reel done and it's like thousands and thousands worth of dollars that goes into just even trying to get your name out there. And I think a lot of people say, "Well, it's fun, so I wanna do it." And I say, "If you really wanna do it, go for it. You should. But just know it's a lot of hard work. But it's gonna work out, it's gonna pay off eventually, but it is a lot of a commitment." Like, there are times in my life where I literally was doing nothing but, like, voice acting and doing nothing but, like and I was in school, like, as a high schooler, and I was like grinding. Like I was at school and I was looking up auditions. And I think there's a serious drive that's different when you know it's like something you want to do cuz I think about it, all the time. I watch movies and I listen to commercials, and when I'm driving in the car and I turn on the ads and I listen to the ads to see how they did like their reads for commercials. And I think about it all the time because I love it. And it's not that, oh, I want to make money or oh, I want to, but
See, we're so different. We're so different, right? I don't
yeah.
want to be a voice actor. I don't. I enjoy anime as an escape. I enjoy sports as an escape. Obviously, I have a business that is comic book centric on eBay, buying and selling comic books,
Mhm.
and I love comic books, and I love baseball cards, sports cards, basketball cards, non trading sports cards, stuff like that. And because that me watching a baseball game does not interfere with me enjoying and collecting and selling
Mhm.
baseball cards. But if I was to voice an anime, it would ruin anime for me. It would
Really?
it would ruin it for me. It would ruin it for me. I legitimately like to pour myself a nice stern drink on a Thursday and watch some anime. Um, Put some whiskey in there, and I like to start my week early. Turn it up
Yeah.
Thursday is what we call it. Um,
Nice.
I used to not have class in college on Fridays, and so I would start Thursday, and it was great. If you're like, dude, why are you getting hammered on Thursday? I'm like, I don't have class. I was like, oh, that
You're
makes
like,
sense.
"Whatever."
It was great. It was great. They're like, dude, why do you even live on campus? You don't have class on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Fridays. You should be a commuter. I'm like, you don't get it.
You don't get it. That's
You
so
don't get
true.
it. It's
That's so true.
amazing. It's amazing. It's just efficiency, but not the point. But me being a voice actor, and there's a reason why I didn't pursue it. I don't know if I could do it, but even pursuing it, it would ruin anime for me. It would ruin it for me
Mhm.
completely.
Really.
So like I think that's a real issue. Is that I don't know if it ruins it for you because I don't know if you could go and watch anime the same way if you're voicing in shows. I don't know if you can.
That's actually really interesting because I think someone the other day, like, asked a question and, like, I answered it, but it was about how you distance yourself from the characters you're playing. Um, and for me, I I can watch a video of myself. I didn't used to. I used to hate it because I was, very insecure and an angsty teenager and I didn't want to see it. But now I can watch videos of myself and hear myself talk because I've learned that it's not me. It's the character, and I like to distance myself like that because what a character's going through and what a character's saying and doing, and if they're being weird, that's not me being weird. Like, I'm just kind of, like, there for the ride and watching it happen, and so it's weird because I can totally watch something that, like, I've been in or, like, I watch videos and I'm like, "Oh, that's me," but it's also not me. It's kind of, like, interesting how I divide myself into, it is me, but it's not. And I think it's kind of like a skill people, especially if you struggle with, self-esteem, it's hard to get used to listening and watching yourself because that's weird and gross. And but the more you do it, the easier it does get. And just keep in mind that it's also not you.
See, it's interesting. So I edit all my work as
Mhm.
far as cutting up content and micro content and TikToks and all that stuff. And I've gotten better because I do all that. I've gotten a lot better. But also, I'm watching me, and this is me 100%. Like
Yeah.
that's the problem is that I am not any different on screen and off screen. So there you go. Especially in the last year and a half.
Mhm.
Um, if you watch me in the last year and a half, everybody, that's me on and off screen. You get exactly what I am. So whoever is my future girlfriend and my future wife, before I'm gonna just put up my link to my
Yeah,
show,
just put it
and
out there, be like, "That's what I
she's
act
gonna
like."
know exactly. And I'm gonna send her all the ones that are the worst. Not in content, but are the ones that are like, okay, I know what I'm getting into.
Like, "Oh, he's crazy." No. I think that's a good thing that you're authentically yourself, because a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people will put up a front, and one of my biggest things is, when I started, being myself more, I gained more confidence, and I started, loving my voice and loving, you know, who I am as a person, and I wouldn't be an actor today if I didn't, learn, "Okay, I need to start being myself." And I think that's something that a lot of people do struggle with, but the fact that you can be yourself on and off screen is really important and really good. So, I applaud you for that.
Oh no, it took a while. It took a while. It took a lot. It took a lot, and I just don't care. I just
Yeah,
don't care anymore. And that's the other thing too is that I forgot who said it to me, but they said people are gonna like you, people are gonna hate you, and you can't really do anything about it.
yes. Yeah.
And I've taken a lot of lumps and I've gotten a lot of attacks on me, but that's the thing is that, and that's how I feel. But I do want to dive into some of this anime stuff and the voice acting stuff because obviously you were on Get Mic'd
Yeah.
twice, I think, Take Two and Take
Mhm.
Three. And
Yes.
so, how did that even come about? Because that's a big competition. I don't
Yeah.
know much about it, but I do know that it's a pretty big competition. And was it online or was it in person? I forget.
It was online, yeah. So, it was I, heard about it because I was taking classes with Deb Monroe, who is one of the hosts of it, and I was taking online classes with her, and she, like, said, "Oh, there's this competition. You guys should audition. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't." And there was, like, over 2,000, like, worldwide submissions, and I was just like, "You know what? I'm gonna audition because it's my teacher, and I think she's cool. I don't think I'm gonna get in." And then they really liked my animation and my gaming audition, and so they were like, "You're in the semifinals." And I was like, "What? I'm 16." And, when we got to, like, the live performance of it, which is, it was over Zoom and everything, but it was still very, like, well thought out. Tara Strong was actually, a guest judge on the episode that I was on, and she said to me specifically, she was like, "I started around your age, and, like, you're, like, made for voiceover." And I was like, at that time, I was 16, I was like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do for a career. I don't know what I'm gonna do in college," and I was considering going into teaching instead of acting, and that moment, I was like, "Wait a minute. I am act like, if people are telling me I'm good, I might be good. Like, maybe I should listen to that." And everyone, like, was so cool about it, and they were kind of like they really liked me, and so they brought me back because I auditioned again, um and I got into the commercial category, which was something I was, like, nervous to try out because I'm mainly, like, animation, gaming, that's, like, my shtick, but, I love commercial, and so I did that, and I got into the semifinals, and it was really cool because each time I was up against, like, pros, like, adults who have been doing this, and I was, shaking my boots. I was like, I don't know how any of you are doing this. And they were all so nice to me. And obviously, like, I didn't win because so many people are so talented. And like, I feel bad for the judges because it was a tough competition, like judging that. Like, I've gone back and rewatched like other people's auditions from the live rounds, and I'm like, of course I didn't get into the finals. But I think it's just an honor to like be in that space when being so young too. And I ever since, like, I've just been so interested in like professionally going at it because these people who I was up against are professionals. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. So it was really interesting, and it did kind of like get me thinking like, oh, maybe I can like do this and market this because like I seem to be getting some response from people. And yeah.
Let's talk about this too, because obviously, I mean, you're in a competition, and then, I mean, you're with, obviously people who are trying to break in, people
Mhm,
who've been doing this for a while, people who need a break,
mhm.
some degree. Because I don't think you have to necessarily be, some of these people probably were doing commercial work, maybe doing professional voiceover work. Because for those who don't know, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, professional voiceover work could be simply, you're, doing the voiceover for Toyota,
Yeah. Yes.
or you could be doing the NBA,
Yeah.
NBA finals, and
Mhm.
it's a 45-second bit or it's 15 seconds, but that could very well be professional voiceover work. It doesn't necessarily have to be anime, cartoons. It could be a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I'm sure some of these people were doing stuff like that. And so even what is this like to even just, I guess, be around this, and also kind of just getting an entry point in, because I think sometimes you just need an opportunity.
Yeah. It was it was a big moment for me because, I grew up and was born and raised in New Hampshire, and there's not a lot of, industry work in New Hampshire.
It's
So
not it's not Nashville, Tennessee. It's not
no, yeah,
Cali. It's not New York. It's not
no.
Stanford. It's
Yeah,
not, I'm trying to think of another hub that's big. It's not Houston. It's not Austin.
yeah.
It's not Massachusetts. It's not
Mhm.
Boston either.
Yeah.
Those are big markets where there is industry work, there's corporate work, there's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff around there.
Yeah, and that was a huge thing because I was like, I'm kind of a nobody, you know? I'm literally like, I was 16, I was like literally in whatever, I was in sophomore year. And I was really taken back because, oh, I actually, have a chance of doing this when people are telling me I'm good. And for me to get, even just into the competition was really huge because I had never had a professional experience up until then. I was doing, community theater and everything was local. So I didn't have something on a scale that Get Mic'd was. And for me to just be around those people, I had a ton of people, like, reach out to me afterward and, like, say, like, "You were really good," and da 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 da, and I was like, "You're, like 1, you're, like, a professional, but 2, like, you're 40 and you're telling me I'm good? That's crazy." But, it was important because not a lot of people get that opportunity. I'm not connected to industry people. My parents they grew up, they were, went to school and they were journalists, and that's all we have, I'm not, I don't have actor parents, and they didn't know anything about voiceover, and so they've just been supporting me throughout what I've been doing. And I think it's really, important to me to have like supportive parents, especially with this, because they don't know, like, when I tell you my parents didn't know anything about this, they didn't know anything. And they were just like, "You're good at it. I trust you." And then they, really invested in like, "Okay, we're gonna do classes, we're gonna do this, whatever you need to help you." like succeed because, you know, I'm like 16 and I have no money. So I'm like, I don't have a, you know, pinch of, you know, to get that, you know, glasses,
Let's actually
whatever.
talk about that
Yeah.
because you mentioned it before, and obviously to do voice acting, I
Mhm.
mean, theoretically, you probably don't need a lot of money. If
Mm.
you could make it work if you don't have a lot of money, and if you're talented enough, you could figure it out. But you definitely need a mic if you want to
Yeah.
do it on a professional level. You need equipment, and that's expensive.
Yeah.
And look, there's ways where you don't have to get the top of the top mic. I
Mhm.
mean, you could start out small, and anybody who's run a business and you want to bootstrap it, sometimes you don't buy a nice expensive desk. Maybe you buy a beat up desk and you work your way up. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff like eBay gives grants for refurbished furniture for entrepreneurs, where you could buy a desk for $250 that it is a little bit beat up, but you might need a desk.
Yeah.
So plenty of ways how to do that. But what was that like too? Because your parents are investing in you, and then you have that support. Because I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it this way: not everybody has that support.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'll say it as well because I see it all the time about people whining and bitching. Everybody works hard in life.
Mhm.
Everybody works hard in life.
Mhm.
If you need to be lucky,
Mhm.
sometimes you need to be good, but you need to be lucky. And that's the story of my life: is that I was good enough with luck,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's, I think, a lot of life. And
Mhm.
I was listening to Mark Cuban, and somebody said, "Could you be worth $3.2 billion today if you started with nothing?" He said, "Fuck no."
Yeah.
And he said you have to be lucky, and it's
Mhm.
harder than ever to do it now. It's not impossible, but he
Mhm.
said I got lucky and I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. I do really think that it's really important to know that you can be most talented person in the world and still be not where you want to be in your career. And that is just how it is, sadly, for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't ever get to that point where they're, you know, going to conventions and they're in a big show and they're, you know, signing all these things. A lot of people are behind the scenes, especially for voiceover. A lot of people are successful, but they're behind the scenes. They're doing, you know, those ads you hear on the radio or, you know, in a supermarket. You know, there's things that everyone gets paid for, but it is a lot of luck when it comes to like how, you know, I came about because I am very supported and I think that's huge when you have, you know, ambitions to go into like arts and anything performance based because my sister as well, she's an animator. So my parents have really invested in us, like believing in us. And one of the things that they always say is, well, we wanted to do stuff when we were younger, but we couldn't financially, or we couldn't because we didn't go that extra mile because we were scared. And what they always told us growing up was, we don't want that for you. We want you to try. Even, you know, you might not be a millionaire, but if you if you have that little like kick to do it, then that's what they wanted for us. And I think it is very important to have a support system, whether that's your family or friends or just, you know, colleagues. I think having people that, you know you're good, know that you're gonna, you know, do well, and also that are just cheering you on is important because it does get lonely. It really does. Especially when you're auditioning, you know, for 100 things and you never get called back or you never hear back. That's what I do is I audition. I sent in like millions of auditions and I never hear back. And sometimes I do and it's like 6 months later and I'm like, I forget what I did, so I'm kind of screwed. But it's normal for actors to just like feel really, you know, down on themselves and compare themselves to other people. But having
It's a very, very comparable
yes,
industry.
yes. It's hard because I struggle with it. I Everyone struggles with it, and it's like oh, that person booked that role that I went for, or like, ah, dang it. But my thing is that I've really learned in the last couple years is that you have to not only cheer yourself on, but cheer other people on. Because when people are successful, you want people when you are successful to cheer you on and be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so when they're successful, you should congratulate them and be happy for them because in the long run, like you want someone to do that for you and to be proud of you. So I think it's, you know, I think kindness is a huge thing that a lot of people forget sometimes.
No, they would never.
No, yeah, but it's so I think it is
You
so
haven't lived through
important.
COVID, have you?
I
So
did,
let
surprisingly.
me break this down.
Yeah.
So COVID happened in my
Mhm.
world, and everybody in the comic community for like 9 months was like kumbaya. Everybody was happy. Everybody was nice, and everybody's gone back to being an asshole
Yeah.
again.
Ugh.
And everybody's gone back where everybody was giving, and
Mhm.
everybody has forgotten that, and they've burned a lot of bridges. And on my
Mhm.
Facebook wall, I said, a lot of people burn bridges, and it's
Yes.
really hard and expensive to fix them when you burn a bridge. It's
Mhm.
really expensive to fix it.
Yeah.
And some people took it saying, Andrew, can't you just swim? Which I thought was really funny. And the
That is
person said that was really funny. And I laughed for like a good 10 minutes. A
Oh,
good 10
that's a good one. That
but he understood the point
yeah.
nonetheless. But then other people said, "I'm there right now," because I
Mhm.
think that's what's so interesting, and I think you're touching upon it because when somebody gets a role, you should wanna be happy for them,
Mhm.
and, but at the same time, you're like, "That son of a bitch got that role, and I wanted it," and because it's tricky, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're in college right now. I'm sure that maybe you gotta tell your colleges that you wanted to get into, I don't know, but
No.
but, like, when I was in, there was, like, 10 kids who got into the same school, and I didn't hear back, and I'm like, "Chances are I'm not gonna get into that school."
Mhm.
Or I'm not gonna get in, right now, or early admission, and so therefore, that's, what it was. So there it's, like, God damn it, those 10 kids got in, and I didn't get in. Oh, that kinda sucks. But not the point. But yeah, so no, no,
Yeah.
that's interesting though. That's interesting.
No,
Um,
because I definitely feel for me, I think you have to be also proud of other people because there's a reason that people get roles and there's a reason that people get opportunities that they do because it's meant for them. And my mom always says everything happens for a reason. And, cheesily enough, I kind of do believe that because I think, the right doors will open at the right times. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but it's gonna happen eventually. It might not, it might be years, but it's there's somewhere out there, there's a role for you, there's a person for you, and I think that's just kind of in life in general.
you're
Like,
so optimistic. You're so optimistic. I am not optimistic at all.
I always, like, try to, you know teach people that like I know it's hard because it's a crazy world and there's so many things that are happening in the world that aren't positive, but those things happen so we can get to positive moments and they may suck. We've all been through, shitty circumstances and but having those, moments of like, uh I hate life right now, also helps you develop skills to become a better person and to, maybe you can use that in your acting. Maybe you can use that in a show you're writing or whatever. Like it's I think there's a little bit of, a special little like sprinkle in there. I don't know, but I think everything kind of has a little bit of a puzzle piece it fits into your life. It might suck though for a bit, and it sucks for a lot of people, but I think there's there's gonna be, times when it doesn't, and then that's important to think about.
You're so optimistic. You're just so optimistic. Um,
I try. I did not used to be this optimistic. No.
I am extremely cynical. I'm not a pessimistic person. I'm very cynical of life. Um, but it's what works.
Yeah.
Um, that's because I'm right about everything eventually. Um,
You know, that's just how it is.
it's a guy thing. It really is.
Oh, no.
But anyway, that's terrible. But I actually do want to talk about the voice acting stuff a lot more because you do a lot of auditions.
Mhm,
Because I think you've been in a few shows, which we're going to talk
mhm,
about in a few minutes. But you send in a lot of auditions, and what is that like? Because that's tricky. I mean, the whole thing with it is that there's out in Cali, there's Texas, there's some independent shows out
mhm,
there that do some stuff, and then I'm sure that you do some commercial auditions. And so, what is this like? Because I don't like I can't even fathom it. Is the point is that because I know that you potentially have to send in like two, three, 400 editions sometimes to get a role because it's just that there's so many people who want to do it and there's
mhm.
just so much and then it's shitty and then half the time they're probably only looking at the top 30.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it is really, like, challenging to get into a headspace of, like, what I say is, like, send and forget because, I'll send an audition and I'll be like, "I'll probably never hear back." Most of the time, you never hear back, and that's normal, but at least have fun while you're doing it and try your best, and then I just, "Okay, sent the audition, whatever happens to that audition, whether it goes in the void or maybe it comes back out, and works out for me and I book the part, cool. But it's complicated, definitely because, I just got, agents this year, for acting, so I've started getting auditions through them, and even then, it's very much like you still have to okay, you didn't book it. It's fine because you never hear back. You'll never hear back if you don't book something most of the time, unless you're working in like, very like indie projects. Sometimes they send out emails and they're like, sorry, you didn't get, and you're just like, great. But,
Let's actually talk about this because
mhm,
obviously an agent's job is to get you auditions and then book the part.
mhm,
And then obviously, they want you to be auditioning and getting parts and all sorts of stuff.
mhm,
And because that's how they're going to make their money
yeah,
on the whole thing. And that's the whole point of it. And
mhm,
so, what is that like too? Because even with an agent, if an agent, gets you an audition, but there's 10 people who are really, really good, I mean, you could be the second best, but there's only one part
yeah.
because
It
this is the issue that I've spoken about. Sorry to cut
mhm,
you off, but this is the issue that like all of a sudden you have somebody like Brian Donovan who plays Rock Lee in Naruto, who's been on my show,
mhm,
and great, he auditions for a part and he's great, right? And then you could have Rob McCullen who plays Brainer from Attack on Titan, and he auditions for the part, and they're both fantastic voice actors, but somebody has to get the part, and that doesn't
yeah,
mean that if somebody didn't get the
mhm,
part, they suck. It just means
yeah,
they didn't get the part. Like, but like
yeah,
you still didn't get the part. Like, and
yeah.
that's what it can mind fuck with you, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I it's weird because there's times because I also have started doing, on camera and, I've done theater, and so there's times when people are like, "You're just too short. You don't fit well with this other person in the commercial, so that's why you didn't get cast." And it's like, it's really interesting because most of the time it literally has nothing to do with you. Sometimes I'll ask for feedback if it's like a smaller indie like production, and I'll be like, "Hey, da 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 da," and they'll be like, "Yeah, you were really good. It's just not the right voice." And that's it. Like, it has nothing to do with me or my talent or anyone's talent most of the time, or the quality of it. As long as you're making sure you have, good quality and you have been like working on your own acting, it's most of the time just like that's the person I imagine in my mind, and that's the specific thing that they met in that one requirement. And people have, directors have visions. And I try to really trust that because honestly, I can't change what I look like or what I sound like. I could to an extent, but ultimately I'm still like when I'm just the same skeleton in the end. So it's like I can do all that work and change myself, but I'm still me and I can't really, fit whatever they're trying to push. And that's okay. I try to tell myself, it literally has nothing to do with me if I don't get cast, and that's okay. And a lot of people, it's very hard. It's very hard because people are like, "I'm not good enough. I can't audition for this because 'cause I'm not da 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 da." And and people tell me all the time, like, "Oh, I don't have a voice for voiceover," and stuff like that. And I always say, like, "You do have a voice. Everyone has a voice. You're using it." But also that and same with on camera and for theater is that, like, there's a specific look and a specific, sound that people want, and eventually they're gonna want you. Like, you might have to, like, do 1,000 auditions, but you're gonna get a part eventually.
Again, the optimism. It's so high. It's just so high.
I
Um,
try,
I no, no, no. I mean, I'm very honest in which that, you know what it is? I'm a very realist type of guy.
Mhm.
And so I think you should go for it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't go for it, but I'm also saying, look, if you spent 5 years auditioning and you're not getting anywhere, there's gonna get a point where you gotta say, look, I went for it, I tried, and clearly the market isn't speaking to me. But that doesn't mean you can't have a business in show business.
Mhm.
There's plenty of things that can happen in show business. You could be an agent, you could be
Yes.
a sound engineer, you could be a
Mhm.
booking, you could be a casting call, you could be working on a movie set, you could be directing a movie, you could be writing one, but it could just be that maybe acting isn't the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
there's a
think
lot
that's a
of
huge
stuff.
thing because a lot of people wanna be actors. Everyone wants to be an actor. It's, the thing. They wanna be on camera, they wanna be in the shows, they wanna do this. And, yeah, that acting is cool, right? But who makes those stories, writers? Who animates those shows? Animators? Like, there's so many other things that you can do and still be involved, if it doesn't work out. And that is something that a lot of people think, like, "I'm gonna be an actor," and I'm like, yeah, like, for me, I'm like, I can't animate, I can't do other stuff, but, like, if acting doesn't ever work out, like, I have other things I can do and other tools I can use. But for me, it's like, you have to you have to go for it, and if it doesn't work out, just, "Okay, it didn't work out." Keep it in your back pocket, maybe it will one day. I mean, there's so many professional actors who haven't booked roles since they were, like child stars, and then they booked roles when they were older. Um, and those have been career-changing moments. But, eh, you hear all of these stories from, A-list actors, like, I worked in, a waitress job and da 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 da, da," and everyone's busting busting their ass to, make it. And it takes a long time. And it's like, so I think it's definitely like you can go into different avenues and still have that hope of it, but you know, sometimes it doesn't work out, sadly. And that's just how it is. But, if I'm not ever going to be an actor, I'll be an actor in my brain, and that's all I can do. I'm making myself happy that way. Yeah,
No, I,
but
I find it interesting, and I find the whole sector fascinating because, again, it's not an area that I'm in, and I have no desire
yeah,
to become a voice actor, an actor. I'm perfectly content in my positions right now. And I'll be honest, it is much easier to be in business for me
yes.
than to be an actor. And the rules are, I think, are more laid out, to be
Yeah,
honest. But this is not about me. It's clearly not about me. Um, but I do want to talk about some of your roles though.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've done some interesting stuff. I think you've been in Reservoir Reunion as
Yes.
Danny,
Hmm.
and so that's a short little thing. I
Yeah.
think there's two of them, right? Isn't there two of them?
I was just in one, but I'm not sure if there's two. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so that was like one of my first roles I ever got, and it was like paid, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was on the floor of my bedroom and like holding my microphone like this, like trying to make sure it didn't like you couldn't hear the fans in the background or people screaming. Um, and I was 16 when I got that, and that was, super cool because now I have like an IMDb account for that. So cool. But it was a little small, short, and I've been doing, some other stuff.
Let's talk about this
Yeah.
because what is that like to get your first paid gig? Because that's a
Yeah.
whole different ball game. I mean, the first time I got paid for a sponsorship on my podcast was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was to say the least, I literally was so confused at first because I was like, me? They want me? But also I having, that option to be paid for doing something you love and that you're passionate about is like the coolest feeling ever. I wish everyone could have that feeling if they aren't paid for what they love, because I I've gotten paid to, dress up as like a princess before. I've gotten paid to, sing a song or do stuff like it's really weird because it's just stuff I normally do. And I normally like paid or not, I want to be an actor, which I do want to be paid though. I would like to be paid. Um but I'm still going to be an actor like in my mind, or I'm going to make up my own things. But to be paid for something that I voice in was like, "Oh my gosh." Like it was so cool. So I'm sure you can say the same, like when you get paid for something you love, it's like the best feeling ever.
I'll put it this way: what's a great feeling for me is when I get a
Mhm.
free ticket at an anime con because I'm presenting.
Yes.
Because and then you add 2 or 3 of your friends on there too, purposely, because that's really where you make your money.
Yeah.
Is that you bring your friends along and then they, help you out. They might take care of dinner, that's
Yeah.
helpful. But that's a good feeling because I'm not getting directly paid, but I'm getting paid to speak or I'm getting a free ticket in.
Yes, exactly. Like there's so many things like I've done and I'm like doing right now that are things like, "Oh, you can take a free class if you make videos or if you do this." And I'm like, "Hell yeah." Because not only is that like super cool, but also I'm doing something that I like and doing stuff and getting something cool out of it.
It's helpful. It's helpful also when you're at a con and you're doing like 3 panels, and then
Oof.
you depending on who is the panel director, like, "Oh, dude, this is awesome, and I'm gonna try to sneak in and see your panel." That was a fun one. I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah.
I'll film it if you want me to film it for you." He's like, "Yeah, man, why don't you film it for me, man?" And I'm like, "That's cool." So, what was cool is that I was just, that was one of the last ones. I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun." Um, but the point that I'm making is that it's helpful because it's cash equivalents. But
Yes.
like beyond that, I don't think I've ever really been paid for doing something I've loved. I've gotten paid or because I don't get paid for my business. I get a distribution. And it's
Mhm.
so different. It's so different because as an owner, a distribution is amazing though.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so when you get a distribution, and that's a whole different feeling too, though,
Yeah.
because like I made a really good decision on this
Yeah.
and because now there's actual money left over after all the bills for me to have a good
Mhm.
time with and do
Yeah.
something fun with, and then you have to be responsible with it, which is not fun. It's called investing.
Adulting is hard, guys. Don't recommend.
Adulting is hard. It is hard. Oh my god, I don't want to talk about it.
I just started it. It's not fun. I'm only like 2 years in. Come on.
Adulting's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Um, when you realize how expensive life is, everybody, you're like, oh my god, how do people do it?
Yeah, it's insane. Like, I first year of college, um, I, like, literally just finished, and I was, like, paying for my own groceries and doing all this stuff, and I was like, "Stuff is so expensive," and I hate it. But it is cool when you are able to, like, "Oh, hey, I got paid for this thing and can pay for my groceries," and that's cool.
Yeah, no. I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Paying for groceries is good.
Paying for groceries is so obviously I have a regular day job and
Mhm.
that takes care of a lot of stuff. What's fun is when your business allows you to invest money in the
Yeah.
stock market and then you're making money on your money on your money. That's fun. And that's a lot of fun because all of a sudden when you take $1,000 and in 2 years that thousand's worth like six, that's a lot of fun, and then that 6 slowly becomes 8, and that 8 becomes 10, and then that 10 becomes 100,000 in, like, 15 years, like, "Holy shit."
And then
Like,
you're rich, and you're a millionaire. You're a millionaire.
again, it doesn't change the
Yeah.
daily elements of your life. What it does, though, is it gives you options,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
life is one gigantic option. That's all
Mhm.
life is,
Yeah.
because there's only 2 things in life that are certain. At some point, you're born, and at some point, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Everything else is an option.
Mhm.
That's life. I mean, that's a very simple position on life, but that is a far cry from your roles. A far cry from your roles. Um, but I'm thinking about this when I'm 31. Imagine what I'm going to be thinking about when I'm 41. Imagine that. It's great. It's great. I'm also thinking about in like 3 hours my chunky monkey ice cream in the freezer. So
Oh, now I want ice cream.
my significant other, she bought like this strawberry like cheesecake thing, and she ate the whole fucking thing, and I'm so upset with her.
What the
She's,
hell? What the hell?
I know, right?
That's the worst because
She's
when
sleeping on
you
the couch tonight, though, so it's all
oh
right.
my god. That's the worst, like, when you have a roommate or something and they, like, eat your stuff, and I'm like, "Stop
But the
it."
problem is that I can't be angry at her because she's my girlfriend.
I know. I know. I
See,
can be angry, though.
it doesn't work. See, she could be angry at me. I can't be angry at her.
Well, did you buy it? I don't know.
I mean, technically, she bought it, so I mean, technically,
Technically.
it's sort of ours, but she took care of the ice cream this time. It's like in 2 weeks from now, or like a week from now, I might buy the ice cream. It's not like we're keeping score,
You
but
know.
like it's our household. I mean, just because it's on her debit card doesn't mean that she bought it. I mean,
Like, I wanna eat it. Like, come on.
eat the whole fucking thing.
I
Like,
mean, it must have been good. You can't blame her. You can't
I
blame
mean,
her.
Chunky Monkey is still good, but like, it's not like that like strawberry cheesecake. I was so looking forward to it.
I'm so sorry. That's devastating. Oh.
And I just don't feel like going out to the store tonight because it's rainy where I'm at, and it's just like,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. That's the worst. I don't like driving in the rain.
And I'm not gonna do it tomorrow because it's Tune It Up Thursday, and you don't want to mix alcohol and ice cream.
No, no, that's not
Maybe I'll go out on Friday and I'll go get my own, but I'll
Yeah.
hide it from her.
That's what I've had to start doing because I live with, my grampy started living with us, so and he just steals all of the food. So we have to hide it. So I recommend, like, maybe, like, a mini fridge. That's what I had to do this year in college.
I'm not getting a mini fridge.
It might help. It might help.
Maybe I'll just break up with her and I'll keep the ice cream for myself. Oh no, she's probably gonna watch this and she's
She's
gonna be
gonna watch this and be like, "What were you talking about?"
like, she knew what she was getting into.
I mean, did she watch the videos? I mean,
Probably not, but she knows what she's getting into.
oh my gosh. We have good talks about ice cream here. Only the best conversations.
I mean, she knew how this was gonna start.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I'll just hide. If I buy my own strawberry cheesecake, vanilla ice cream, I am definitely gonna just eat the whole thing in the car. And
Oh
I
my
so
god. You're gonna have a stomach ache.
I don't really care
You know
because
what?
I was denied, and I'm very upset still. I was denied of my beautiful strawberry cheesecake, like, ice cream from Ben& and Jerry's. I think
Oh,
it's
it
Ben&
was from Ben& and Jerry's?
That's they do Chunky Monkey. Chunky Monkey's great.
Oh, man. That's the best.
I
Ben&
mean,
and
Chunky
Jerry's.
Monkey is a good second, but it's still number 2, and if it was on an audition, it wouldn't get it.
Mhm.
See how this
Mhm.
goes full circle?
See, we're smart here. We got Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You should see when I do stand-up.
Oh, you must be
No,
great.
no, I am definitely not appropriate at stand-up. Definitely. I
Is it
am
about
a
ice cream?
I am a filthy comedian. I am filthy, and I am brutal, and I am, like, roast level 5. And
Nice.
I go hard, and I go witty, and oh my god. And then oh man, I'm just brutal. I'm just brutal. And
That's
and it's
that's good
amazing.
though. That's good because like, I always say I've I've heard everything that everyone wants to throw at me, like all the roasts that people think of. I know it. I know what you're gonna say. Like, people are gonna say something about like, "Oh, you look like you're 12." I know. I look in the mirror. You sound like you're 12.
The
I know.
last open mic I did, all I did was tell light bulb jokes. And what was crazy is that the punchline of the whole thing was, I hope that experience was as electrifying for you as it was for me. And I did it, like, in Stephen Wright monotone.
Oh my gosh. No, the
And
monotone is funny. I like that.
you could tell that, like, the audience and then you could tell people after I said that, they were like, "This guy's got a minute, and he's doing this," and then when they heard that punchline, it was brilliant. 'Cause
Yeah,
you could tell that people were like, "Oh, I get it. I get it." And you
yeah.
could tell the host wasn't ready for it, and, like, my friends knew what I was gonna do, and, oh, man, it was great.
See, that's what you have to do in auditions as well. You gotta shock them because they hear, hundreds of things and the same thing over and over again. You spice it up a little bit. Tell a light bulb joke?
It was really good. It was really brilliant, and it was thought provoking. It was great, but it was like an open mic thing. You had like a minute. It wasn't anything like
A
because
minute.
because somebody's like, dude, just do it, and I'm like, great, I'll do it, and it was great, and it was funny. But enough about that because I do want to talk about some other stuff you got going on.
Yeah.
I think you're an Axom or AXCOM or
Yeah.
some.
Yeah, I was on that.
I think I know what this is, and correct me if I'm wrong. It is a webtoon that has a voice component, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, so it was like oh my gosh, it was like a web kinda thing, web
It's a web
series. Yeah.
comic. It's a web comic that can
Mhm.
be read just basic on, and then I think in the app, if I'm not mistaken, there's the visual where you're combining voice with print, and I don't know if it's a motion comic as much as it's just a voice component combined type thing, because those 2 things are different.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen, like, different ones. I'm not sure because I kind of just do things and then they're out there. Yeah, I'm in that. I've gotten a lot of new roles that I can't talk about yet, which are exciting, but we'll see. I'll announce those soon.
So what is this like? Because this is definitely more independent than,
Mhm.
I guess, Main Street. I don't wanna say,
Yeah,
like, I don't wanna sound like
no.
independent's bad, because independent is not good or bad, it's just independent. But what is that like? Because combining voice over work into an independent webtoon type comic
Mhm.
is very much something that would not be done by Marvel or DC.
Yeah, yeah. That is I was actually approached by the creator of it, and they're like, "I really like your voice," and da 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 da, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And to do, projects that are smaller but are also, like, helping out artists, I think are really important. because I've said before that my sister's an animator, so I know what it's like for, people to literally be like animators and have no money. And I get it. And I also want to support them because I think their stories are just as important as mainstream things and just as cool. I've seen a lot of cool like projects online that are like that I wish were, public knowledge. Like I wish everyone, could talk about that. And it's not like, Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, like that's huge. But which is great that it's huge. But
Did you also feel though that you're brand new, and
mhm,
I'm gonna say it the nicest way I could say it, but
yeah,
you have to cut your teeth, for lack of a better word. Meaning
yeah.
that, obviously I've done almost 800 interviews,
Mhm,
and I cut my teeth on the big one first, which was not the right way how to do this.
mhm,
Um, when you're interviewing Debbie Derryberry, who plays Jimmy Neutron,
mhm,
Howard, I can't think of it. I can't think of it. Howard Cruz, who
mhm,
was at the forefront of the gay comics movement. Derek Padula, who is the DBZ world leading DBZ expert, and then Bob Fingerman. I mean, relatively, three of those four people are really, really big deals.
mhm.
Those are your first four interviews. It's like, holy shit,
Yeah,
like, that's not what you should do.
yeah,
Um, I should have been interviewing somebody who has a small little independent comic because you need to develop your skills, for lack
yeah,
of a better word.
mhm,
And so, do you also feel that's also part of it, where I'm not saying eyes aren't on you,
yeah,
but it's not. I'm trying. It's not Naruto,
yeah.
right?
No,
Like there's a big difference when legitimately like a million people are going to see your voice or hear your voice
yeah.
versus maybe 5,000.
Yeah,
Big difference.
I think it's so important to do, like, smaller projects first because, like, a lot of the projects, that, like, I've been in, like, I was, like, really young, like 16, 17 in them, and, like, you know, it's interesting to see how, like, you know, it differs from today and, like, my quality today, but also, like, it's good to build your resume despite, people might not be famous, and that's a huge thing, is people care about followers and care about this and that, and it's weird because I have never cared about followers, like, ever, and I gained, like, a following on TikTok, and I'm confused by it somehow because one of my videos has, like, over 1,000,000 views, and I'm like, "How does" it's just me in a show, and I'm just doing a silly little thing, and it's really important to people, like, to have followers nowadays, and I just don't I think that if it's, something that I'm interested in, if it's a story that I wanna tell, then I'll go and tell it, and if people like it or if people don't, that's kinda up to the universe, I think, you know?
You just mentioned something. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I understand why it's important to have followers.
Yeah.
It goes back to influencers,
Mhm.
and it goes back to what is your market reach.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I have 657
Mhm.
subscribers on YouTube. But it's slowly growing, and I'm taking an approach where I'm just adding more and more content every single day,
Yeah.
and that I will eventually get to 1,000. I will eventually get to 2,000 watch
Mm.
hours, and I will eventually. I'm projected to get there eventually.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how much content do I need to create. And then all of a sudden, when someone says, "Oh, you need," I only interview people who have 2,000 followers on their channel. Well, my viewership's going up, and a bunch of other stuff is going up. But also, I have a lot of just content out there,
Mhm.
and so I understand why somebody's interested in followers,
Yeah.
because they quote unquote want the potential.
Yeah.
It's not a conversion; it's a potential. It's the
Mhm.
same reason why, not to get you and me in trouble, but when a cosplayer has 2 million followers on Instagram, she is getting approached through influencer deals, and whether those influencer deals convert or not, the companies that are going after that, they're interested in the brand awareness, the reach
Mhm.
of their brand, and they're not so much interested in the sales. And all I care about is sales. I care about real money and real hard numbers. That's what I care about. So
Yeah.
if I could sell 50 million of a product, but I have 2 followers on Instagram. Who cares that I have two
Yeah.
followers on Instagram? Versus seeing if somebody has 50 million followers, but they
Yeah.
can sell $2 of your product. I mean, so that's the whole issue with followers.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because um when I started getting followers, I didn't expect it. It came out of nowhere, and I was literally making content for myself, and, I was posting videos about myself and performing, and people started to like it, and I was like, "Oh, now I think it's 14K now on TikTok, and I'm like, "How did I even do that?" And I almost have, like, 1,000,000 likes total of, like, my videos, and I'm like, "How many people is that? That's crazy." But, even that is still considered small to people, but I think of it as kind of like a little blessing because it's really cool. I never expected to do, like, content creation and do videos, but I always was interested in it, and it was something that, I've thought about, but it kinda just came out of nowhere as well, so a lot of, even voice acting, brands are like, "Well, hey, I saw your video on this, and, like, you're really cool. Do you wanna help with this?" And I'm like, "Sure." Like, it it's given me a lot of opportunities that, like, wouldn't have happened, and I'm very grateful for it because it's exciting to have an audience. It's kind of weird. So, I think, like, growing a platform and learning how to, learn about algorithms and all of that stuff and engagement is important as well, especially as a performer because you kinda need to know that stuff to market yourself to the public and to get out there, and, um, but I randomly got lucky. Like we said, it's a lot of luck. It really is because I started learning how to market because of a following that I gained. And now
Yes,
I'm kind
so
of
interesting.
I know. It's it's really cool and I'm very, I think, grateful for just like every opportunity I get. And but now I'm, like, knowledgeable of, like, okay, if acting doesn't work out, I can go into, like, social media or, like, X, Y, and Z or marketing and da 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 because I know all of this stuff now. That's really cool.
See, I have such a different approach, right? So I haven't done a TikTok in a while. I've done a YouTube short. I have a lot of content developed, but on TikTok, I mean, my content of like a piece from an interview would do like 400 or 500 views
Mhm.
easily, and then that content was built for TikTok
Yeah.
more so than YouTube, more so than Instagram. Where TikTok is great. It's just a matter that there's only so much time in a day,
Yeah.
and it's when you're working a 40-hour work week, you're doing a lot of interview work, you're editing a lot of stuff, and you want to watch the NBA finals, something's got to go. Something's
Yeah.
got to go, and then you have a business that is evolving, that's making you real money. It's like there's only so much time in a day
Mhm.
for me to
Yeah.
do content and build out an actual setup content. And it doesn't even take that long to do all this. I mean, it's not
Mhm.
that hard. I mean, cutting up and getting 10 pieces of content out of a interview that's an hour takes about 2 hours for me to do,
Yeah.
which isn't bad, all things
That
considered.
isn't bad.
It's just a matter that what am I going to be doing and where am I going to do it? And
Yeah.
packing up legitimately like 300 cards every single week. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, um,
It's just yeah, it's a matter of, like, strategy. It's really, like, knowing your audience and knowing, okay, what's trending, even though I don't really kind of
it's
follow
time.
that,
It's
but
time for me. It's just
yeah.
it's playing out time. There
Mhm.
is 24 hours times
Yeah.
7, which is 144 hours, I wanna say? No, 168, I'm sorry. It's 168 hours in a week. I would like to get potentially 25 to 32 hours of sleep, which is what
Yes.
I'm getting right now,
Yeah.
which isn't great. It's not great. And
Yeah.
so, I have no more time
Mhm.
between a 40-hour work week, my Mondays and every other Thursday,
Yeah.
I'm in my job physically, which becomes a 12-hour day. So like there's no time. And that's my biggest problem is that there's so something's gotta go and TikTok went. And there you
Yeah.
go.
And it's hard because, like, acting and, like, content creation, it's all, like, an investment. You have to take your time to do it, and some people don't like that, and some people are like, "I don't wanna spend time on this. It's not fun that way." I'm like, "That's how you do it," kind of, so
Oh, no, no, no.
yeah.
I hate uploading TikToks. I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
I have
It's
no problem.
long, it's not fun.
I don't have a problem uploading Instagram Reels,
Mhm.
YouTube. That's easy, especially because YouTube, the way I do it is I just bulk load it up. So
Yeah.
I get like 10 things and then I legitimately watch a television show on Netflix while doing it. And then you spend 3 hours on your Saturday, but you're uploading 30 or 40 of those and you schedule it out and it's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Like TikTok is so in the moment that I
Mhm.
don't know how to bulk schedule because if I could legitly schedule 50 TikToks to come
Yeah.
out every day at 12 o'clock and I could
It's
schedule
crazy.
that, that would be so much easier. I don't know if that could be done, but
Yeah.
I don't know if TikTok has a feature, but if
They
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 could,
should, 'cause I was actually like, the other day, I was like, "I want this to go out at this time, but it's not that time," and I just made it, and
so
I was like, "I have to wait until it's that time."
that's my thing. And then I play around where sometimes it's like 11 o'clock at night. And like, do I put it out at that or do
Yeah.
I just drop a lot of TikToks down? I mean, that could be a potential idea, but like, that's my problem with TikTok is that I want to schedule my content.
Yeah. Mhm. That's a
YouTube,
huge thing. Yeah.
every day at 3 o'clock, a piece of micro content on YouTube drops. And when I get back to YouTube Shorts, every day a short's going to drop at 12 o'clock,
Mm.
or a re-pushed out interview is going to drop at 5 o'clock. So, like, my YouTube community, like, literally every day, 5 or 6 things are dropping just on that side of YouTube.
Yeah.
And anytime I can schedule something out, and I can schedule a lot of it out. Oh my God, it makes my life so much easier
Yeah.
because
I I think
I go
that's
6 months out. I go 6 months out sometimes.
wow, that's impressive. You know what? Round of applause.
Because it eliminates the problem that
Yeah.
I then don't have to deal with it. So I legitly am scheduled out till September on my YouTube
Mhm.
content.
That's crazy, cause like, especially in, like, the acting world, is like, I get emails the day of sometimes for auditions, and it's like, "Oh, I guess I gotta go record this now." It's, like, very, like if you wanna be an actor, it's not really for people who like schedules, cause it's all over the place. Like, every day is different, every week is different. You could be, like, out of work for months and then, like, have a million jobs in 1 week. Like, it's crazy, but, I mean, I love it. So, it helps me because 'cause I'm very much, like, I wanna do, random stuff like that, and
I don't. I
I
don't.
know, a lot of people don't, and I'm like, "I wouldn't do acting."
No, that's my thing
Yeah.
is that
Mhm.
I'm at a position now where it's like I'd like to schedule 6 months out because and then I'm now starting to schedule the last fourth of the year, and then I want to get that done by August, and then I want to get June done by December of 2024 so that I have 6 months ahead there. And then I want to get all of the year done by March of next year. And then I want to get 2026 done pretty much by August of 2025.
Yeah.
And
See,
that's sick. And then I want to get 2027 done pretty much by December
I could
or
not.
March of 2026, which is sick.
That's crazy because every day for me is just like a gamble of like, "Oh, now I have this audition or now I'm doing this." Like, I scheduling would be so cool, but
But
sadly
this is just my release of my
yeah.
content, right?
Yeah.
Because then what that does is that actually allows me to say, cool, because I have a huge amount of content. When you have
Mhm.
800 interviews and every piece of your interview is 10 pieces, give or take, that's
Yeah.
8,000 pieces of content. So once I figure out how to cut up all, because I have to go backwards and forwards at the same time,
Yeah.
and then you can start adding more content in.
Yeah.
Because now what I figured out is that for me to get monetized on YouTube, the answer is more content.
Yeah.
The more content I have, the more views I get, and then once I get that 4,000 mark hour, and that 1,000 subscriber, and I have 6,000 videos, that's 6,000 monetized videos.
Yeah.
Which means, and then if you add another 3,000, another 4,000, another 5,000, you have 12,000 videos. That's 12,000 monetized entities working for me on a passive income level. And then every time I add a new one, this is how you make a lot of money.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I figured it out. And
Mhm.
that's why I'm not so concerned today what it looks like, because when it hits the monetization, most people get monetization and they have 200 videos.
Yeah.
If you have 5,000 and you hit monetization, you have a lot of monetization.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy.
this is why I'm scheduling out, because if this hits in 3 years from now, I'm not coming in anymore at $15 a month. I'm coming in at $150 a
Yeah.
month.
Mhm.
And so that's where I'm at, and that's what I care about.
So,
Because
and that's how you get more ice cream in the end.
exactly. This is exactly
It
how I get more.
all comes back around, just saying.
It's like my birthday. I don't want a birthday cake anymore. I don't even get a birthday cake. I buy myself a can of frosting and you put a candle in it.
Yes. That sounds delicious.
A coworker bought me that for my birthday, and then I said to my coworker, I said, "We good thing you didn't get a candle, because knowing you and me, we would have burned down the whole office." And he just started laughing hysterically. It's
Oh
really
my
funny.
gosh. No, 'cause, like, frosting's good.
A whole can of frosting. Oh my god,
That's a
so
lot.
bad for me. So bad for me. I ate like half
But
of
it's
it
so
too.
good, but it's so good.
He got me a spoon too. It was funny. It
Yeah.
was really, really funny. It was really, really funny. Somebody has a sense of humor. It was really, really funny. Um, but I do want to talk about Pink Wonder too while we're at
Yeah.
it, because that I didn't even know this thing existed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cute. It's like a little magical girl show, and it's like
It's got like
I
250 episodes. It's insane.
it's crazy. Yeah, it's so exciting though.
It's kind of like SpongeBob, where there's a lot of episodes, but because it's divided into, I think, two parts. So
Yeah.
like it's 24 minutes, but like either 8-minute episodes or 12-minute episodes, I think. So like there's a lot more episodes than there is. So like there's not 250 episodes
Yeah.
like 24 minutes. There's 258-minute ones.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it looks like, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't. But yeah, I it's so cute, and I just love it.
Just 'cause it's a weird one, because I don't think it was on network television.
No, yeah, it's kind of just a little, like, indie project that's out, but it's cool.
It was on YouTube. So what is that like too? Because I mean, I'll be honest, being on YouTube is a lot cooler than probably being on television. I mean,
I mean, yeah, there's so many successful, shows on YouTube now, like, Amazing Digital Circus, we have, like, Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss started on YouTube, like, all of these things are, really popular and gaining, traction, where they wouldn't, on TV, but it's starting to actually become, like, a successful platform to produce shows, which is really cool. And it's exciting being on YouTube and just seeing things grow, which is cool. But it's super cool.
so
Yeah.
no, it's so interesting, and again, I mean, it's just one of those shows that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So
There's so many things out there in the world. Like I find things every day, like video games or like indie like video games that I'm like, I didn't know this was a thing until like my friend X, Y, and Z was in this little game that's on like Nintendo Switch, but it's like a little indie game. And I'm like, "Oh, it's so good though." Yeah, there's so many things that are just out there. If you can find them, they're out there.
so let me ask you this, because
Mhm,
obviously you got a bunch of stuff coming up that you can't talk
mhm,
about, but did you feel that, because I'm curious how you feel about this, where obviously, I mean, COVID happened, and I have an
mhm,
opinion on this, and my opinion is well known, is that prior to COVID, obviously things were changing in voice acting, but I
Mhm.
feel like COVID forced a major change and shifted things up and shaked things up in a lot of ways. We're recording from home, bringing talent from other places. So
Yeah.
now I still think, obviously Texas is a big place for voice acting. So is, California, New York as well. But I feel like if they really like you enough, recording from home now is a
Mhm.
more acceptable practice, and
Yeah.
potentially getting somebody who is quote unquote not necessarily in Texas to be in a Crunchyroll show,
Yeah.
not out of the question if the voice fits. And
Yeah.
so I feel how you feel about that, because I think the world is a much better technology world, and it's smaller at this moment,
Yeah.
especially in acting.
I think it's a great thing that, there's remote recording and things like that are becoming more accessible because I know there's many, disabled voice actors that can't like travel. They can't go to the studios. Or there's people who are in, financial situations who can't and they have to stay home. And or people just don't live there and that's, they just don't live there. And so I think it's really great that it's becoming more accessible to different walks of life and really open to it because it's not perfect and it's not there yet. Like there's still many things that especially because, COVID died down and everything, like many studios are like staying away from. I know Crunchyroll records, I think, like almost fully just in person now again, because I don't know, that's just what they're doing. And so many studios are like kind of iffy on remote now, but one of the biggest things is like you can get talent from all over the world. You can get people you'll never hear before. It's
Let me
so
ask
rare.
this. Let me
Yeah.
ask this, because obviously, I mean, you know, I don't know what somebody's voice acting schedule looks like, but
Mhm,
if somebody is going to a con and they're constantly on the road, and some of these people make real money at these cons,
mhm,
I mean, if you're going to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it might be that you're back in Texas and you were just in Cali,
mhm.
and what you're going to record Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then head back out.
Yeah.
Like, but if you could record from your house,
Mhm.
have a lot more flexibility, or it's not as
Yeah.
draining. And I think
It
that that's a big issue as well. As I mean, I also think that if you get talent from all over the world, I mean, look, I'm a capitalist. That's not a secret. Um, and I know pay in voice acting is low, but I do think it also can make it even cheaper to some degree, because now it becomes competitive. And
yeah.
I like competitive businesses. And as somebody who obviously wants to invest, and Sony's a publicly traded company, I mean, when they own Crunchyroll, I mean, I think that that's a really interesting position at the moment. Is that when something becomes more competitive, it definitely lowers costs.
Yeah. And there's so many people that like will comment on videos of mine and like, I want to be a voice actor. I want to be a voice actor. And like it's so many more than ever people are just wanting to do this. It and I even started, during COVID. So I was around, when it was starting to become more remote. So I was very lucky, but it it is very competitive now and it's going to be more and more because it's becoming more accessible. And I think that's a good thing. Someone actually said like on one of my videos they were like, "I don't want people to find out about this because they're going to take all the roles." And I was like, "Well, yeah, but there's roles out there for you. And if you're right for something, you'll be right for something."
Let's actually talk about that.
Mhm.
More shows are coming anyway
Yeah.
over. I mean, there is a position where that's going to be interesting, because I think there's more stuff coming over.
Mhm.
I think that there's more opportunity coming over.
Yes.
And I think that, yeah, sure, it is. If it goes back to everything, though. If there's 500 people doing comic books, some of them aren't going to fund on Kickstarter, for lack of
Yeah.
a better word. And some of them are going to barely fund. But then there's going to be a bunch of other stuff that definitely does fund. and there's just more competition, so you got to make your product better.
Yeah.
So I mean, that means that if there's 1,000 voice actors out there who are all decent, or we could run a scale. Some are really good, some are really bad, but there's 1,000 of them out there. Now you, as a director, have a choice of 1,000 or 2,000
Yeah.
or 4,000 people to choose from. So you could be really, really, really selective.
Mhm.
And not to use a baseball analogy, but you're waiting for the right pitch.
Yeah. And it becomes like more of like, oh, there's more opportunity for more people, and yeah, it makes it more competitive, but I think it gets more people out there, and I think it's helpful. So I think that people who are worried like, "Oh, it's too hard." Like, yes, it is very competitive, but there's more and more people are turning to, projects online, or, smaller like games and video games, and seeing them as like, "Oh, this is really good," instead of like, mainstream stuff anymore. So we're seeing, thousands of new shows and new games and new opportunities for people to voice act. So I think it's definitely not going away, and I think remote recording is just going to help people build, their careers more. So I think it's a good thing.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah,
And then I have two more things I want to talk about. So
awesome.
how do you feel about Sonic the Hedgehog?
I actually I just went to the Sonic Symphony and in New York, and I was asked to be in a video. I didn't know it was, like, for the official Sonic account. It was, but I don't know anything about Sonic, right? Okay, so my sister's a fan. I only know, like, Tails, and I know I can do a Tails voice, and that's it, my extent of it. But, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this was so awesome," and now I'm, like, in an ad. So if you see Sonic Symphony out there and you see an ad and you see a girl, it's me. So, yeah, that's, like, my knowledge of Sonic, but I love the Sonic movies, and I'm very excited for the 3rd one. But,
I'm a
yeah.
big Sonic the Hedgehog fan.
Uh,
Big Sonic the
who's your
Hedgehog.
favorite character?
I'm a big Shadow guy, and I'm a big Chaos guy too.
Yes, yes. I
But
mean, you
Chaos is
can't
great.
go wrong. You can't go wrong with Shadow, or, like,
Shadow's good. And then what else? Who else has been really good? My favorite Sonic the Hedgehog character is Ken Panders.
oh, okay.
Ken Panders was the writer who took all the characters and copyrighted them from Archie and held them
Oh.
hostage. That's Ken Panders. I have, I have a
That
friend who got blocked by Ken Panders, and so I wanted
really?
to create me and him. I wanted to create a fan club that I got blocked from Ken Panders. It's $25 membership. You get a T-shirt and a membership card saying I got
Well,
blocked by Ken Panders too.
oh my gosh. I that's really funny.
You know how much money I'm gonna make on that? I'm gonna make so much money.
How many people are blocked? A lot?
Oh no, people are gonna want to be blocked.
Oh, you're right.
They're gonna buy
They're
a
gonna
t-shirt.
want they're gonna
I
want it.
got blocked by Ken Panders too.
Yeah, you're a genius.
And then you get an official card as like membership of the club. It's a secret Facebook group that's behind a
You,
closed
like, whip
paywall.
it out when you get pulled over by the cops, and you're like, "Actually, this is my license."
And the cop's like, "Yo, dude, I got blocked too. Just go right
And you're like,
ahead.
"Oh."
You're going 150. It's on me.
Whatever. Yeah,
I don't care.
that's how you get out of it.
Everybody gets one free ticket off. Like every cop has one of them. Oh, it'd be
Oh
great.
my gosh.
That'll be our ad on Facebook. That'll be our ad right there. You get pulled over by a cop, and then you just flash your I got blocked by Ken Panders. And it's like, and then he says, "We're right here, sir." And he brings out his. And then the end is, "You can be like this police officer and this fine citizen too. Be blocked by Ken Panders."
That's amazing. You
I'm
need
gonna
to
get so sued by him, and it's gonna
It's
be
okay, it's
hilarious.
okay.
It's gonna be hilarious.
Oh
It's
my
just, oh
gosh.
my god. We're all gonna have like code names based off the video game, and it'll be great. Like we'll have a whole board, and it'll be great.
It will be beautiful.
So much money on this idea. So much money. But it's the ultimate troll. It's the ultimate troll.
I mean,
But I digress. But I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. We've been speaking for almost an hour and a half.
yeah.
You got a lot of stuff going on. I don't think we covered half of what I was supposed to cover and what I wrote in my notes.
You're fine.
Figuring
Yeah.
out what I was supposed to ask. So there we go.
I have ADHD brain, so I understand. I just go off on tangents about ice cream. So yeah. So if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, any platform that exists, my handle is It's Beth Pierce. And yeah, and you can check out my website, it's bethpierce.com. And yeah.
There we go. There we go. And then everything that I'm doing, obviously I'm gonna keep saying it, is that you gotta support independent projects, you gotta support people that you like, people who are doing cool stuff. Obviously, whether that is businesses, people who are voice actors, voice actresses, comic writers, professionals, whatever it may be. The way to do that is that obviously watching their stuff that they're in and watching it legally is very helpful.
Yes.
Importantly, when they have merch, picking up merch is also helpful. Just retweeting and engaging with them on social media is a big one. That's very helpful. And all that stuff matters. And then as far as I'm concerned, I am Pop Anime Comics on the X, also known as Twitter. Yes, it is formerly known as Twitter. Now it is X.
I still call it Twitter.
I'm too lazy to change my graphics. I like the bird. What can I say?
I like it better too. It's a cute bird.
I actually like X a lot, but that's not the point here. But I am Pop Anime Comics on Instagram. I am Pop Anime Comics on Facebook. I am Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. So if you want to look at all my 800 plus interviews, YouTube is the place to go. YouTube is a lot of fun, guys. YouTube is a lot of fun for me. And then I am Pop Anime Comics on the eBay. So Pop Anime Comics Collectibles on eBay. Look for us for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. I carry a lot of cool stuff. So I carry a lot of stuff like this in my eBay store.
Ooh.
So this is cool. So I carry that. I carry some stuff like this as well. I have all 15 of those in hollow foil. So I did buy the print run out. I carry stuff like this as well. So really cool cards and some other cool stuff as well and some rare stuff. So I just brought in a Juju Watkins card that's limited to 99 or less, autographed by her. So really cool stuff's in my store. And if you're looking for some rare collectibles, I got you covered in that regard. So definitely be on the lookout for that stuff, as well as I carry a lot of WNBA cards. And I can't keep them in my store long enough. So you got to buy them quick. They sell out within like 2.5 weeks. It's crazy. Caitlin Clark is going to make me worth millions of dollars. It's insane. And then Angel Reese is going to make me worth another million. And then it's even crazier because Breonna Stewart and Andre Wilson are going to go win me a gold medal. And what I mean by win me a gold medal is go win the United States a gold medal. That's what I really mean. They better. It'll be really bad if they don't. It'll be a waste. 5 weeks without the WNBA? If they come back with a silver, I'm going to be so fucking pissed. If I have to suffer of not watching the WNBA for 5 weeks and not gambling on it and not having awesome sports cards to sell on my eBay store, and they come back empty-handed with a silver and not a gold, I'm going to be so fucking pissed. Legit, for the next 4 years, I will bitch about it every day. Because this is a sufferment for me and my business. And I am making the sacrifice, America. I am making the sacrifice here.
Gotta make those sacrifices, guys.
This is how much I believe in Team USA here. Because I know the men are going to get the gold. That is not the concern here. That is not the concern. The women, I think they'll do it. But there's the off chance that they might not do it. And I'm a little scared.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. Or manifesting it.
I hope so. I hope so. Because if I have to suffer for 5 weeks, we better get a gold out of this. But yes, and then I am Pop Anime Comics on TikTok. So that's everything that I got going on. But yeah, if you're really looking for some cool shit on eBay, I got you covered. And all jokes aside, if I don't have something in my store, chances are I know somebody who does, and I will direct you to them. And I've done it for plenty of people, and they're like, I didn't even know that product existed. And I'm like, you're very welcome. So that's pretty much me. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much. I had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. And I don't think I could have said that any better myself, everybody. That is a wrap.